All right, guys, we're back at the range again today. Are getting very close to November now, so the long sleeves are out, baby. Probably, I don't know, 45 degrees today, but the sun mostly was coming out, and when it does, it's warm, and when the clouds are covering you, it's not warm. So there you go. Leaves are starting to change. It's a beautiful time of year to get out, get a couple more range sessions in before the weather actually fully turns. That's a digression. What we're here to do today, we're going to carry on similarly what the last video was, just trying to work through really fine-tuning a lot of fundamentals. I think in almost every person that I interact with, guys that I also follow on YouTube, shooting rapid firing, right? Actually pushing yourself at an uncomfortable pace is kind of one of the only real ways to figure out exactly what's going on with your grip. I think whenever we're doing a lot of just nothing but slow controlled fire, it's good to isolate out specific things whenever I want to forcibly get myself to feel it. The only way to see and determine is it actually working is to actually induce live fire conditions that I'm firing at an uncomfortable pace. Because what's happening then is you're just going to fall to whatever current level you actually are at. If you shoot slowly, you have time to respond and to react to everything. When you're shooting quickly, now I can actually see what's happening. Now I can feel what's happening and then start to isolate out one thing at a time that I think is going wrong. So all we're doing again today is we're going to be working on some doubles. I know normally, at least in the last range, there was like a specific progression that I was working through with some specific time standards. Today, I'm not really worried about it. Today is just purely a fundamentals day. I'm just gonna rip doing some predictive and then some reactive shooting, basically meaning like at 5 yards, I'm just shooting predictably, not giving myself time to actually react to my sights. As long as something red is flashing in there, forcing myself to stay locked in on a small spot in the target, and then basically let my bullets tell myself a story. And then I'm gonna start doing is transitioning into coming into a deeper target, one that's sitting back at about 10, where I need to shoot a little bit more reactively, meaning like I need to probably have a dot come within a certain area before I pull the trigger. And then what I'm gonna start doing is working on switching back and forth throughout the course of this as the day goes on, forcing myself to adapt quickly to how much visual acceptability do I need, transitioning to targets in depth. Hopefully that made sense. Let's start. I have fired maybe a total of 6 bullets now in the past probably month. So this could be a little shaky at first, but honestly, the only way I've found to really start getting this dialed in is to just go straight at it. So my first mag, I'm just gonna do more of like a one-shot return. Let me see where the hell this camera's facing. You guys probably can't even see me. I'm just standing out in space, just saying random things. There's some blob off to the side. Just gonna do one-shot return. I'm just gonna take single shot, reset the trigger immediately, come back to fully prepped trigger, and just bring the sights right back to where I'm at. So shot, sight return, shot, sight return, shot, sight return. Kind of just working out that timing. How much input do I actually need to put back into that gun to get it to come back to the exact same spot every time without firing that second shot. Like, the sights are gonna tell you exactly what happened. If I overdrove, I'm putting in too much input, not enough input, kind of see from going from there. If I can't tell, I'm probably staring at the red dot. All right, I always do these off of a timer. I really don't give a shit about first shot time on these. And I'm working on firing from double action to begin so I can start getting back into doing carry optics. That's probably about 7. Let's go about right here. Guess it helps if your dot's on. Coming out and seeing absolutely nothing is not what you're looking for. All right, let's try that one more time. All right, well, that was atrocious. All right. So what I found is my first shot coming from the double action. I got to work on just having that smoother trigger control. Basically, like, I'm used to single action where this is the amount of input into the trigger, the gun goes off, and I put induced movement, push it back down. Well, when I'm doing the double action one like that, I start getting that pressure and I'm immediately getting ready for that gun to go off. So my timing with it is way off. I'm dropping these rounds low. So I'm just going to start off doing just a few reps of just coming from the holster right now, working on getting smooth with the double action trigger pull again. Because everything else with that felt pretty much okay. I had one that my second shot launched super high, so I know I accidentally like double tapped. The fact that it went up that high just obviously means I was staring at the red dot. So I just have to keep an eye out on that today. I'm just kind of working out whatever stuff feels weird, whatever tiny stupid shit's going on. I didn't like that. Oh man, jerky today. Need to loosen up some. All right, starting to iron that out. That was just not as clean as I would like, but I mean, we're getting shots. The whole point of that was just me getting shots into the A zone and then just seeing what it kind of turned into. Really, I found like a sustainable pace for me with like the double action currently around like the 1.15 to 1.2 for a first shot, which isn't screaming fast by any means, but that's about the pace to make sure that everything's kind of coming out clean for me. All right, so now I'm just gonna work on doing some doubles. Still fucking that up, huh? The wires are in the way. All right. Not the prettiest job I've ever done with that. Holy shit. Definitely a lot of weird jerkiness that we're working out today. Let's go up and kind of just see what's going on here. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about with starting off with my double action shots. Just wasn't getting the gun all the way there. And obviously, like if it's coming in that low, that means like I have like a bit of a swooping motion going on. So in theory, this thing's just coming here and coming straight out. Like these should not be hitting that low. So there's obviously a bit of that going on too. So just kind of working out like some different trigger things that's happening with me. Just really what I started doing is just cognitively focusing on just pull this thing back to the tip of my nose. And a lot of that started cleaning up. There's definitely a lot of like single shots, my initial shots that were coming in somewhere in here. So I know like there definitely was a little bit of that where I felt, because it's like I haven't shot in a while. So I'm coming out and I'm inducing movement into the gun prematurely on some of them. So like my first shot, before the round even came out, I was prepping to induce movement to bring the sights back down. And then obviously as that started cleaning up, the group slowly started coming back in around here. Now initially, my whole major group was actually all in this spot, and then the last mag, I actually noticed a new hole opening up right in here. So what I'm going to do in the next one is drill that again. The whole point is to start focusing on keeping this hand kind of stationary, right? Letting the gun go off before I actually push the sights back down. Because most of them, like, I didn't feel my hand clenching up, at least I didn't think so. So that just shows me, like, all right, if that's the case, then there's just a little bit of this going on before the gun's going off. So timing issue, forcing myself, pull through the trigger, let the round go off, and then just kind of let the sights just kind of bounce around and do whatever they will. All right, I had a few that kind of rode up a little bit high, or I kind of caught myself pick up the red dot a little bit, but nothing crazy on that. But again, whole point with this drill is even hearing me shoot it. Hold on, get this back up. I mean, for a lot of people, you're probably hearing that pace and thinking, like, that's a freaking reckless pace to be shooting at. My splits, let's see. I mean, there's like 0.2, 0.21 splits. So like that's probably the splits that you should be shooting at this target, if not even possibly faster. For me, that's just damn near about as fast as I can pull this trigger right now. But I mean, you can see, like, when you start to really dial this in and like get your shit fixed, like the rounds are just gonna go there. So like pulling the trigger slowly, slowing down between shots doesn't really do anything for you other than prove to you that at that pace you can make the rounds go where you want them to. If everything else is staying the same and locked in and that gun's tracking predictably, like the gun's just gonna come back to wherever you're looking, for better or for worse. So shoot aggressively, start working out your shit. All right, so one thing that I'm gonna work on now in my cognitive brain approach, a new thing I've been realizing is I have a tendency of my shoulder to want to ride up, right? My left one specifically, few bad jumps. Always have some issues with this left shoulder. I know it's all just cognitive, so forcing this thing to stay down and really driving this support hand and support arm all the way out is the way to go. So yeah, there's something changing on that first shot right now. Yeah, let's move my shit out of the way before I put a fucking bullet in my damn steer. Yeah, I'm noticing after that first shot, things are changing, so I got something going on right now. All right. Okay. So what I started realizing is after my first shot on a few, I would notice I would shoot and then the gun would turn this way a little bit. So what was happening is there was something off with my support hand pressure. So one thing I noticed for me, if I come out and I don't like put pressure back here, right? Literally like clamping my wrists together essentially. This hand has a tendency to jump forward ever so slightly on my first shot. Now is there probably a little bit of this going on? Possibly too. But really as soon as I added a new cognitive thing, I was like when I come out, make sure I pin my wrists together and lock everything in pretty well. All of a sudden, sights and everything were just bouncing perfectly in the exact same spot. So usually just trying to work out one or two things at a time. If there's one thing happening, try something, see if that fixes it. All right, that one, notice my firing hand started clamping up a little bit. Trigger freeze, good God, man. All of a sudden, these new things just keep coming up. You just gotta keep working through it. Let's just bring this in real quick. You guys can see my stupid bullshit. So at this point, this thing's just fucking obliterated. Most of my rounds are tracking right in this spot, which is right where my eyes are looking. So whenever I noticed that my hand was clamping, that's when I noticed the sights were actually ended up going right back down there. So, but this is just not having shot in a while, like pushing at this aggressive pace, weird little things are gonna start to happen. And so basically as the course of the fire went on, support hand started to relax. This hand started now clenching and adding pressure up to the point where I actually experienced a trigger freeze, meaning my hand was clamping up so damn hard that this thing couldn't manipulate quickly and independently. So shook it out for a second. New conscious thought was just, hey, keep this guy locked in, solid, keep this hand relatively relaxed. And then last couple of groups, I saw everything just tracking perfectly in this spot. So I'm gonna swap out this target soon. We're just gonna transition back to the 10-meter spot. And now what I'm gonna do is probably have to shoot at a little bit of a slower pace. And all that is going to dictate it, let me make sure this thing's actually lined up somewhat relatively okay. The only thing that's going to dictate is how fast I pull the trigger is just when my sights come back down. I got a little black square out there just to force my eyes to have something to stare at, just a training aid. And then do a few mags of this, then work on some transitions, right, back and forth, not sexually, not yet at least. Quick shooting, transition in depth, how much faster or how fast can I shoot at that one, right? I'm gonna work through some of that now, and then we'll work on some of that back and forth. Boy, it sucks. I don't get a chance to get to the range for a while. All kinds of silly things are happening. Just silly things. All right, I didn't like that. It's a good shot, but I didn't like that. Stance is a little lax. Come on now. Humbling experiences, humbling experiences. I am staring at that red dot. Like it was a quad amputee stripper. Good God, all right. Oh boy. All right, well, that needs some work. Holy smokes. Yeah, looking at that guy. Got a bit of that seatbelt pattern emerging on there. Nothing crazy, but enough of a seatbelt pattern to show. And I think a lot of my troubles right now are because I am starting to stare at the red dot. Bad, Josh, bad. It's not what you want to do, in case I wasn't clear. Staring at the red dot never works out well. So let's just keep working through this, see if we can tighten that up some. I only have a little bit of time, so I'm just going to do a few more mags of this. Again, now I'm just working on just actually reacting to my sights. So when I was shooting at this distance, like I'm not waiting to see my dot move around. I just see like this red thing that's just going bananas, which I actually think is easier to keep my eyes locked onto the target because everything's just moving around so much. So it's like if I just stay focused on that thing, like whatever happens, happens. The gun's going back there. Now when I start coming out here and I'm actually reacting to the thing, having that more attentiveness naturally starts to draw your eyes in. So, what the fuck is that? Oh, nothing. Really, what I need to do is force myself to keep my eyes locked on to that tiny little black square, like my life depends on it. It's easier said than done. Dear God, that's a problem. Definitely have some issues to work out doing the double action shots. Yeah, problem is I'm slowing my splits down. Let's get that back up and force some shit to go wrong and just keep working it out. So my second shots right now, every time I have double action, my sights are getting pushed off to the right on my second shot. So there's something changing either here or here. Either this is happening or this is happening. I can feel changes happening here. So that narrows it down. So first shot's good, and then that second one, I'm just noticing my red dot is pushing off to the side. And so by just forcing that second shot, it's like, okay, let's see what's happening under some stress. Let's see if we can get this ironed out. Again. That was the feeling we were looking for right there. Now it's starting to come together. Oh, I see what's happening. That's exactly what's going on. All right, so I finally figured it out. So on some of these right now, particularly because I'm just like still getting used to shooting this double action trigger, for whatever reason, my brain is just sabotaging the shit out of me, and it's thinking that this hand needs to do something in addition to what's necessary. And so even though before I fired on presentation, as I was coming out, this hand was like trying to do a little bit excess amounts of pressure to give myself basically, I don't know, more something to do this for a longer trigger pull, as opposed to just doing what I naturally do. So now that we finally got that figured out, let's work on correcting that. All right, that time things got a lot better, but I'm still feeling as the shots are progressing, this is starting to happen. So like this whole system is starting to get a little bit lackadaisical. I felt that happening, and then it was just required more concentration to force myself to not do this, right? Because my hand now, this hand has to start taking over with this system starts to relax. And so that just eats up all kind of cognitive thought, right? Because now something different is happening than I'm supposed to be doing. It still worked out relatively well, but it's just a thing to start practicing. Forcing, drop these mags off at the table. Forcing that damn support hand system to stay locked into place. And so you can see what this has been turning into for me out here. Started off with a hell of just a straight up shotgun blast, right? Just all kinds of weird stuff was going on, working through that double action. Again, like my timing was definitely off with it. So coming out, a little bit more trigger pull happening, inducing movement into the gun based on what my brain is used to of perceived amounts of pull based on just the single action. So forcing myself to get rid of that. a lot of picking up the red dot started happening. And then over time, as I just kind of kept working through it, everything started to finally close up. And then this is where the vast majority of the rounds were going at the end. So the reason I'm willing to show this is, heck, my God, like this is a fucking shotgun blast. I think most people, when they go to the range, they only just show you everything that went perfect. Like, push yourself and figure out what's going on and keep shooting aggressively, and whatever's happening, feel it and start to correct it, and just keep shooting. Keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting. Like, if you take a month off, stuff's gonna happen. When you start doing something you haven't trained on a lot, something's gonna happen. You have to figure it out, train it out, and keep going until you can start getting it dialed in. It's not a big deal. The point being, don't be afraid to go to the range and suck and just work stuff out. Man, work out your problems. Who cares? Everybody sucks every now and then. Not every day is perfect. If it was, then what the hell would be the point? All right, I'm gonna go down, pace that one up. Probably should have did that when I was down here with the camera. Whatever, good enough. All right, go reload some mags. I have about 10 minutes to spare before I gotta get the hell out of here. We're just gonna work on transitioning between targets. All right, so I'm just gonna work on just some visual shit based on everything that I was just working out. See if I can make that mental transition. Again, not sexual transitions, not in here at least. I got a close target, so I can shoot that very predictably, very fast. Just red streak appears, blast the trigger twice. So short one for 2, transition to a steel for 1, back to the short one, back to that 10 meter for 2, back to the short one. So just forcing myself to adjust my pacing depending on what sort of visual acceptability I need for the shot. I guarantee you this is gonna start off atrocious. Whatever, work it out. Mess around, see what goes wrong, and then I know what I need to train on moving forward. Not a big deal. Splits are about what I wanted on that one. And everything's in, so let's push the pace a little bit harder. One thing I definitely noticed is on that 10 meter, I just stared at A zone. I did not pick like a specific spot inside the A zone. And so I have 2 shots that are right on the lines. Like basically you stare at A zone, you're gonna shoot an A zone size group. So this next one, just force my eyes to lock on to a very specific spot. You know, even that steel one, I know for a fact my dot sat on that thing for like a quarter of a second before I pulled that trigger. So forcing myself, if I have everything that's acceptable, pull the trigger. Just pull the trigger. So that's a decent run. Let's ramp it up. What was my overall time? .37. Let's see if we can speed that up. Oh, fuck me. Fuck around and find out, right? Should have just worked that one out. That was dumb. Everything about that was a disaster. Everything about that was a disaster. So that's good. Keep working shit out. Fucking dumb. both my shots were outside the ACL. Trying to push too fucking hard. All right, let's get our head out of our ass. Try that one again. Wait, fuck. Get a mag ready. Come on, you dumbass. .98. All right. I don't even remember what the pace was on that one with that reload, but one thing I just definitely identified when I'm reloading is I'm in my good stance, everything's going well. I'm actually coming up and relaxing and then feeling myself have to come back down to the gun. So wasted movements happening with that. I'm gonna toss just an empty mag in here. So whenever I run out again, I'm gonna force myself to still do a reload and then come out with a dry fire shot just so I can experience that again. Definitely pushing this pace a little bit harder, but you know, it's good. This is how you just figure shit out. One bad habit of mine right now is whenever things go a little bit weird, I am just stopping. I need to force myself just, if shit's weird, work through it, figure it out. If it gets to the point where the wheels are completely falling off, then sure, you know, but if things go weird, work through the problem, make it happen, fix the problem. That way, whenever real life, if you're in a competition or in a gunfight, things weird are happening, your brain's natural reaction is fight through it, fight through it. So that's something I need to work on. Something I need to work on. That was slow. Let's do that one more time. All right, I need to do that drill more often. All right, well, let's run down and look at the targets. You guys can see what obliterations are going on here. So here's the 5 meter. Actually, let me, yeah, whatever, that's probably fine. So a few, these higher shots, just caught myself, just shot a shot, eyes just started just going somewhere else. Like I just abandoned whatever was happening on that second shot. Either this one, I'm definitely staring at the dot. These two, I think it's just like shot, and then just rode the gun up as I was moving my eyes over. And then I had one here that I just immediately started moving the gun off the target before I even shot. But again, most of it, we're inside, so like, it's fine. The steel, every time I was missing, was because I was shooting at, what the hell, is that decent? Yeah, it's good enough. See if I can capture both of these just like that. There we go. A little bit crooked, a little bit leaning. That's okay. Every time I missed is because I was shooting at this thing. I was shooting at this thing. Every time I hit, I was staring at this tiny little spot. This tiny little spot. So what your eyes are doing means everything downrange. 10 meter, everything honestly was inside. Surprisingly, at the very end, a lot of them are coming in almost the dead center. So what does that should tell me? Honestly, I could speed up on that one. So next time I come out here, I notice when I'm transitioning super fast to the far ones, like, yes, I want to have it to where it's a good reactive shot. But if every single one's going in and training, speed up and cause yourself to screw something up and see what's happening. My major takeaways, I feel by the time I get to the end, again, this support system started relaxing a little bit too much. So I need to work on forcing that to stay strong throughout the entire process. And then on my reloads, definitely on my reloads, I caught myself even doing it a little bit at the end. Going to reload, I feel myself kind of relaxing a little bit, relaxing up and getting here on the gun. Like that's wasted movement. It's wasted movement. If I'm already here and I'm ready to fire, like just do everything right there and come right back out. So just small things to work on, stuff I can take away into my dry practice for the week. Yeah, and then we'll hit it again soon. Hopefully this was helpful to somebody. Again, everyone sucks every now and then. Just get back out on the range, keep firing, work through stuff, figure out what's happening, make the corrections, and get better. Who cares? This is what training is for. You should be pushing yourself in training. Like, not everything needs to be glorified. Not everything is going to be perfect. Work it out, have some fun, drop some questions in there, comments. Anybody have things that you would like to see different? If you have some other tips that would help other people, drop them in there. If you got a bunch of negative shit, I'm just going to delete you and block you, because that's how we roll. Virtus out, baby.